And welcome back, guys. It is time for El Clasico, our second series of the day. Houston Outlaws going up against the Boston Uprising. We saw these guys square off a couple weeks ago, and it was record-breaking. We had seen 7 maps in a first-of-3 series. Absolutely unprecedented. The question is, Wolf, can we do it again?
That is the question. I'm very excited to see how this series goes. I think it's going to go a lot better in terms of the skill ceiling we see from these two teams. I think they've had a lot of time to improve. I think they both have improved over the course of the season. We've seen Houston take their first win. You and I got to cast that at the homestand. Houston looking a lot better these days. They don't have the Sombra to work with, unfortunately, though, in this series. So unfortunate for Dante. That is
very true.
Removed by you yourself, Achilleos. But
sorry, Dante.
I mean, I think that they come into this series. I don't want to say either of these teams are favored, but I think the series is going to be better than last time. Let's be honest. Last time was fun, but this time I think it might be interesting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're going at. I think it's pretty in sync with what we were seeing from our desk there at the end of that breakdown. You know, talking about how do you realistically predict one of these teams. It's very difficult to do so. But we'll go ahead and start things by taking a look at our roster, our starting 6 for the Houston Outlaws. It will, of course, be Linkser starting in for Houston this time around. And they were talking about it, you know, a little conjecture coming through. Seems like that's likely going to be because McCree is back into the pool this week. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. We saw a little bit of Widowmaker, obviously, in the previous series. Don't know how much of that we'll see in this one, but I like that choice a lot. Yeah. You have Repel and Jexay, the usual suspects. No Raucus for this one. And I think Dante is a pretty decent Torbjorn player, so I think that's where he'll end up playing. We'll see how that all pans out. Linkster's also a very good Hangzhou, so something to consider as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could have some evolution throughout this. Obviously, the Houston Outlaws, they have a pretty deep lineup as far as what they can interchange is concerned. So we'll see if they're going to make any alterations as we go through this series. We only saw the one sub in and out repeatedly in our first one from the side of the Philly Fusion. So, Paris Eternal not really playing as much with their roster. But Houston Outlaws, they have that depth. So we'll see if they're going to be able to utilize it here today or if this starting 6 is kind of just going to glide their way through this entire series. So time will tell on that front. But on the other side, it's the roster with significantly less players by comparison to pretty much anybody else in the league. It's going to be the Boston Uprising with their starting 6, and they were talking about it on the desk. This is the return of Jerry to the starting lineup, so a lot of people can kind of breathe a sigh of relief for Boston. Seems like they have a decent setup going for them.
Yeah, I think Color Hex, he's had his on days and his off days on the Mei. I think if he plays a good Mei here, it's a really good DPS duo for the hero pool that we have. And Myungbong, obviously we know his potential. We know how strong he can be. We've seen him dominate in Korea on O2, and he's been one of the stronger players for Boston Uprising. So this is anyone's series to take. I mean, it really, really is. Houston's depth, I think, does favor them a lot going into a longer series, but we'll see if we go there. We did last time. we couldn't have gone longer last time.
Well, it didn't favor him so much at the end of that last one. 3-2 the record, but 7 maps played. Boston were able to take that one in the end. It's the only victory that they've had so far this season to give them that 1-5 setup at the moment. But taking a look at our map set, it will be Jiang Tower to start things off for us. So we'll see who can draw first blood here on Control and start the series off with the right foot forward. You can see Jexay,
good guy Jexay.
Plug in the Overwatch League YouTube. Unfortunately, doesn't do a whole lot just because everybody is already on this channel.
Hey, but listen,
I like where his head's at.
Well, not everybody. Some people are in the VOD, right? But then some people, and look, Dante also with the stay safe, stay inside, do the right thing. Also the right thing to do. But hey, some people might have screenshotted the YouTube with the Overwatch League link, and then maybe someone will find it from that, on a subreddit somewhere across the internet. All right, well, to talk about starting compositions here, big difference so far being the Moira comp that we're seeing from the Uprising with Doomfist. Jerry going to be rocking out of the gates with that one, looking for opening picks and fighting around Coalescence.
Yeah, Lynx are pushing forward, already shoving Boston back a bit. A little flavor of Jerry with the Doomfist. Goes in, tries to get the punch there on Namuma. It's not going to net him too much, though, but he's able to exit safely. The same cannot be said for Color Hex, as Jexay will be able to find a kill here onto the enemy Mei, and that is going to be delaying them significantly. Now they have a complete lack of zoning that they would normally have with the Mei walls, you know, that damage mitigation coming through, but also just delaying that Blizzard straight up is still pretty crucial. Shatter comes down, manages to catch out 3, but they can't capitalize and net themselves any kills. So Outlaws are still the closest ones to getting that lockdown on the point first. Fusion's going to be melted despite how low Muma was taken. That burst healing starts coming through. Photon Barrier already pushed out here from Linkster as he just hunts Halo on that exit. Mei wall coming up. And they will be able to push their way around this corner, but Color Hex protects the rest of his team.
The big problems for Uprising is their 2 win conditions with that comp is the fast coalescence in a slightly elongated fight and opening picks from the Doomfist. The coalescence happened too late and Jerry didn't get any picks, and then everything else for the Outlaws has just so much more staying power with the Symmetra. You have that charge up, you just have consistent damage no matter what. And they're soon to have a Blizzard with that as well.
They are. Jerry looking for an opportunity, but again, going to be denied any access by the Mei wall coming through from Dante. Just waiting and ready to go with that Blizzard. Color Hex is going to be significantly further behind, so needs to build up an additional 35%. Jerry, however, huge picks coming through, gets rid of both supports in an instant. Meteor Strike comes down and Meko gets flattened like a pancake. And will get his block knocked off, and that will be the flip coming through. Some very clean plays by Jerry on the Doomfist, nets them the point.
Yeah, I mean, it may even be warranted to see a swap. Yeah, Linkster's going to swap over to McCree because now you're trying to Symmetra into the point if you keep that one. And McCree also gives you a little bit of extra protection against the Doomfist with that flashbang. Really nice fake out here from Meko to bait the wall.
Everybody just going to be able to push through. All together, Sound Barrier comes out from the Boston Uprising. Jexay just 30% away from his own. Meko knocked down below half HP, trying to stay alive, but Dante gets a kill onto Brucein, and that seems like Houston Outlaws should be able to just reroute their way around towards that point and try to get the lockdown. Boston, however, had that inside track, so they do manage to get here first. Ult coming through. Blizzard's going to be tossed in. Immortality Field used to keep Muma alive. Fire Strike will take that one down, and just not enough healing output to keep Muma in the fight. Sound Barrier a little bit late from Jexay. Cannot keep Muma alive, so now it's just going to be Boston's fight to lose.
I mean, yeah.
Seems like they're not going to do that, though.
They certainly are not. They absolutely dominate it. You know, Meko has Fortify. He can get out of that one. Muma can't. Sound Barrier's too late. Boston just going to play around Linkster's sightlines here and use this wall. Speaking of walls, the ice wall here cuts the team in half.
Linkster trying to go on a bit of a flank angle, get some shots in behind that Rhine shield, gets a couple taps, nearly has the Deadeye online, but with that double shield coming through, it's going to be really difficult to get much value out of that one. The hammer down from Fusion's not going to net themselves any stuns, so the cleanup will just come through. 83% here for Boston as Outlaws retake the point, starting up 55% now, advancing.
Yeah, Linkster's angle there was really nice. Jerry's going to look for potential pickoff here onto the back line. He can also disrupt Muma's positioning this way, but they don't have much follow through for that. Unfortunately, no shatter. So this is actually kind of working in Outlaws' favor. If he can't find an angle here, they're just giving free percentage points. Outlaws have the ult advantage.
Looking for the drop down kill. Clips onto Meko, though, wanted to get repelled with that rocket punch. Meteor Strike out to safety. Will just drop down on top of the mini pack, get himself top back up. Linkster using the Deadeye to keep them zoned back. The Halt to try and pull somebody into it, but will not be able to find anything, but still buys them crucial time to take the lead here and force out at least a 99%. But still going to be just about in one fight territory, so they have to be careful. Barrier's being broken down. Fusions is falling lower and lower, and will just be eliminated here from the fight. Muma, however, taken out as well. Doesn't get to use that Earth Shatter, but it seems like it might not matter at all. Jerry, the last one to fall, and it will be the first round. Control Center going the way of Houston Outlaws, 100 to 83%.
I don't hate the Doomfist by any means, and he actually got a decent amount of value with it, but looking for that really delayed, aggressive pickoff, it was the delay, I think, that hurt them more than anything else. Because, sure, he actually was able to do a lot, and he had Meteor Strike, so he could threaten a really, really backline pick like he did onto Repel, but when you fail that, and you've already lost so much time, and Houston Outlaws have the ult advantage, it's rough. But you can't swap at that moment either, I don't think, off the Doomfist. Kind of got himself into a bit of a corner there. Yeah. So.
Well, either way, what's done is done. Now we can only just look forward. So Houston starting things off with that nice win. Symmetras from both of these teams. So we'll just be the
so
mirrored comps. Oh, look at that. Picturesque. As they both TP up to the top and drop back down. Well, Symmetra is going to be rapidly charged up, but look at the ult percentage charge here for Linkser. He is just melting people left and right. Nearly has the photon barrier online as he just absolutely decimates the members of the Boston Uprising.
That fight could have gone either way. Repel had the better immortality field, but instead of breaking that fight down, I want to just credit our observing team. They've watched so many games, they've watched so many scrims. They actually are able to identify exactly where those ports are going to go through and how to best observe that fight. That was a really nice moment from our team.
Sure, SI Not Found is going to have a fantastic time using that shot.
Oh, no doubt.
In one of his next videos. But Jerry back over onto the Doomfist, just going to be abandoning that Symmetra, who still being piloted by a Linkser on the other side of things. Amp Matrix just buys additional time for the Houston Outlaws. Boston Uprising just hiding behind the walls to keep themselves safe. Photon barrier ready to go. Cutting that point in half. Jerry starts with a very long punch. Doesn't get much on the Dante, however, but the immortality field has been used by Houston. We'll see if that comes back to bite them. Halt in with a fire strike. Color Hex forced into the ice block. Still holding on to that Blizzard. Now will be using it. Muma takes a quick little dash over to the side as Jexy will be the first one to fall. The rocket punch coming through from Jerry, claiming his life, but the turnaround is there. Houston Outlaws, they play it perfectly. They lose out on one, but they still capitalize, and they absolutely wipe the floor with Boston.
Yeah, I mean, Boston, that was a really tough fight to win regardless. They traded ultimates decently well, but still, I mean, now they're out of time, and Fusions is going to really struggle to get this Shatter to land. I think it's really going to have to be Jerry who sets something up. I mean, not even necessarily just a flank, just a straight-up pick as they rotate under the point with a speed boost. Sound barrier, they want to hope to use second, but it's so hard to force that in a situation like this against a Symmetra.
Their way out the main wall. Yeah, into the back. They have that Amp Matrix out now. Shatter dropped in from Fusions, does manage to stun up two. Bell being one of them. He stays alive for a little bit longer with the help of that sound barrier shield, but the fight is won by the Boston Uprising. Very nicely done with the main wall there from Color Hex to keep everybody nice and contained inside the point. They will be able to get this flip right as we hit OT.
Really nice wall. There's nothing they can really do to shut down Fusion Shatter. That's the best case scenario. That was the best team fight they could have hoped for too, because they only really had to use Sound Barrier Shatter there. They can build their own May Blizzard here. Got to defend this one though. It was a nice Fire Strike.
Yeah, really nice Fire Strike. Earth Shatter is ready, but Muma is just getting bullied. He doesn't know which way to look. The punches are coming from all sides. This gets completely shut out and isolated. Very nicely done by Boston Uprising with the juggling there onto the enemy Reinhardt. So they will hold off for a little bit longer here at least. 33% on the board for themselves.
Jerry can really use this Meteor Strike again as a defensive tool when he tries to be extremely aggressive. So that's something that the Outlaws have to play around. Is Jerry could be anywhere. He could go for an aggressive flank that doesn't even make sense because he has that escape where he can position himself back onto the point. So they have to slow push this as they look for the Blizzard engage.
Maywall coming up. Blizzard's out from both sides. Jerry gets out with a Meteor Strike. He's looking for a place to drop. Rotates around the back side of the point to stay safe. No need to go aggro right there. Maywall will deny a little bit of access with that Amp Matrix, but Bruceson has already fallen. Fire Strike through. Hammer gets dropped into the ice block. Goes Color Hex to keep himself safe, but Halo cannot say the same. Has already been eliminated. Jexay finds a nice knock off the side of the map there onto Myeongbong. Flip getting ready to come back in with 4 members still dead on the side of the Boston Uprising. Bruceson on that Wrecking Ball. They need an absolute miracle to stop this. Will be able to roll through onto the point, but now he's playing against so much CC, including that freeze from the May. So they get the lockdown. Now they're looking for Halo to go ahead and finish this one off, and they have found him. So it will just be stringing one after the other onto the point. The cleanup coming through. Houston Outlaws will be able to take Jiang Tower 2-0.
The Doomfist pick for Jerry, I mean, I don't want to say it's wrong. It's just not safe. It's not...
it's just not right.
It's not... it's just not right. In this case,
somewhere in between.
Wasn't. But it's not consistent necessarily, right? You're hoping for picks. You're hoping for backline threat that's going to force immortality fields to give you another advantage somewhere else. You're hoping for meteor strikes to be big, sometimes with your blizzards coming out from Mei. Doesn't work out for Jerry that much in this series. It's not a bad pick. I like it, especially when they're struggling to retake these points after the Symmetra v Symmetra. It's one of the best ways you can get back to a point, be aggressive, but it ends up falling flat on its face, unfortunately, at the end of the day.
Yeah, a rough start here for the Boston Uprising, but a very strong one for the Houston Outlaws. So 1-0 in this set, but that's the map type that cannot have a draw on it. Let's see what happens as we delve deeper into this series and just how many maps we can accrue for ourselves. I'm hoping that we collect them all, very much like Pokemon. But guys, stay tuned, because map 2 coming up after this. We'll see if Boston Uprising can give us a tied series at 1-1.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Hey, welcome back, guys. We are just one map into our second series of the day. El Clasico returns with Boston Uprising versus Houston Outlaws. The latter, which is leading right now 1-0 after a victory on Jiang Tower, but there very much could be more gameplay to come from both of these squads if the last time they met is anything to consider.
Yeah, especially with when we move into hybrid assault, etc. Anything that's not control. Excuse me. Got a bit of allergies right now.
You're not excused.
Excuse me on that one. Give me a pardon. As we move into hybrid and escort, in particular, and assault as well, like the non-control maps that I was saying before, there's going to be a lot more depth than I think what Boston is doing and how they're playing. The Doomfist we saw, not really indicative of how the series is going to look when it kind of reaches its completion, depending on how long it takes us to get there.
Who knows? I mean, already, like you said, started off the day with a pretty long series, going the full distance of 5 maps. Well, full distance.
Almost fullest.
I got to put that in quotations because that's already been broken by both of these squads. But yeah, we'll see. Something tells me that this probably is not going to be a 3-0 series, but then again, every time we try to predict, it usually doesn't work out, and it just kind of becomes the opposite of what we think it's going to be. So who knows, really? I'm just going to go with the flow on this one and just kind of get carried along in the wind of this series and see what happens. But map number 2 coming up here, it's going to be Hollywood, and again, to see who can either take a lead in this series, a further lead, or if we can have a tie coming up,
well,
so I'll just go ahead
you
and
know,
pop that
Achilles,
graphic on screen.
you kind of coined the term or popularized the term fuller hold.
Which
Maybe
one?
we can
Oh,
have
okay, that one.
The fuller distance. the full
fuller
distance and
distance.
the fuller distance.
Perhaps.
the Game 7. Well, we'll find out.
that might happen. I wasn't sure which one you were going to talk about because I've coined a couple.
You have coined
admittedly
a few of those.
very stupid terms.
Some of those we can't talk about on stream, but you know.
Oh, you know, those are just for solo queue, dude. But I wasn't sure if you were gonna say like the Willy Wonka or if you're gonna say the fuller hold. But okay, I got you.
Yeah, the Willy Wonka.
I don't think we're gonna be seeing any Willy Wonkas anymore.
Not in this series, I don't think.
That's a thing of the past.
That's reserved for contenders.
Yeah. I'm not going to provide any context on what that means, just because I think it's funny to just leave it at that.
It's just for the old Korea contenders fans. they know. All right, well, talking about comps really quick before these gates open, or as these gates open, Houston's going to run double shield with the Hangzhou. Boston going to match. We're seeing the Zenyatta variation that we saw from Philly earlier, so those Discord targets going to matter a lot. Rock misses there, the accretion, not going to connect, just barely.
Yep, and we'll see how Houston, with the adjustments of Rockets coming in and Jexa out, is going to affect. So, it seems like you said, it seems like this is the exact mindset that we saw from the Philadelphia Fusion and subbing out Funny Astro. Just want to have the better Baptiste player come through. Pushing around through that stairwell, Jerry looking for some shots, gets a couple tags in onto Muma, but nothing too meaningful. We'll have an exchange. Both of our Hanzos headshotting each other simultaneously. Ships passing in the night. You don't see that one happen every day, but Repel on the flank inside the cafe manages to get a headshot of his own, this time onto Color Hex. So both DPS for the Boston Uprising have since fallen. The Mortality Field finished off here as well, leads to Bruce falling. So will just be the cleanup as Repel is filling the kill feed.
He is filling the kill feed. He's had that nice little angle there from the back side of things to get the first kill and just helps clean things up. It's actually pretty important that he's the one to get that extra damage done because it gives him that transcendence percentage that is going to be so useful if the Uprising try to force a positional play, either by taking the high ground or just stepping onto the point, have shield position. And Houston Outlaws can just play up on this high ground knowing they have that advantage and just simply be aggressive. Buying so much time. Oh, fusions.
Yeah, they pull their way back. Dragon Strike going to be tossed at the choke. Bit of damage going through there onto Halo, but had the Immortality Field to keep himself alive. We've got 3 ults now for the Houston Outlaws on this defense. Dante trying to get to that Blizzard. Seems like he'll be able to do so before Color Hex, though. He's only sitting at 59% here at the moment. Push around the corner, Amp Matrix coming through the May wall. Melts down rather swiftly. Halo trying to keep himself alive, has to pop that shift. As Dante makes his way up top, but gets forced into the ice block rather quickly. Immortality Field going to be finished off. The Dragon Strike up on the high ground. Jerry gets 2 kills for himself. Bruce will finish himself off with a primary fire, but Jerry is starting to pop. Finds himself a triple kill. He's trying to get that headshot there on Arrakis. Unable to find it for now. It's a tag onto Linkser, but has to retreat. Boston are now on the point. Gets that final hit there onto Mekko. Finishes off Arrakis, and this is the Jerry show. Closes
really
it out,
nice.
and that leads to the cap here onto point A. 4 minutes shy here in the time bank.
Really nice by Jerry to identify the positioning of the Outlaws. Mekko did his best, trying to mitigate that damage when the point got contested, but him jumping onto the point on the bottom side meant that you could actually get that angle Jerry could from behind and set up that Dragon Strike, almost low to high ground-esque, what we saw there, the way he sent it, as he rotated up. And now he gets another kill onto Repel, and the guy is taking this game by storm.
That he is. See the Blizzard chucked in there by Dante. Yongbong will be found by Linkser. Lands that headshot. Muma will get rid of Bruce, so this gives him an opportunity to actually secure the cart. Fusion's frozen and falling as well. Certainly helps them gain control of this choke at the gates. We'll see for how long can the Houston Outlaws hold on to this.
I mean, they won't be able to contest the archway anymore without
It seems
Blizzard.
like they're going to play high ground here instead, but okay. There's more time bought.
They just have to poke. If they can poke here, that's their best bet, and getting stray kills like this is definitely going to slow things down. If they want to commit in when Boston Uprising actually close that gap through this archway, they're going to lose out to a Blizzard before Repel has Trance. So they're just going to play back and play safe and play that poke game. And blind shots even can be quite powerful.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to catch a stray headshot there. Dragon Strike tossed in. Oh, they boost themselves up, but they're still in it. Linkser manages to find one as Halo will fall. Immortality Field not set up for him to try and survive. Jerry, however, will make it an even exchange on the Baptiste as he gets the Storm Arrow kill on Raucus, and Meko will be shut down by the Gravitic Flux. Into the Ice Block goes Color Hex, but he is completely surrounded. But here comes Jerry to the rescue. Has that flank, they weren't really paying attention to him. They still finish off Color Hex, however, but Jerry gets the fadeaway shot with a Sonic Arrow onto Dante. Then follows up for Muma. Kart's just chilling out, though. No one's playing around that, but they finally will push over after supporting their squad in the back alleys. They can start moving that cart back up the streets.
Now they have the high ground controlled. ColorX got to hold the Blizzard miraculously somehow throughout all of this, and they still win the fight. Now they can try to Blizzard the choke point here that Outlaws are going to try to escape from. Jerry can have another Sonic Arrow to confirm that, as you can see, that they're coming out from this angle. Sees that's not the case. They should switch focus. A little bit late on that, but they notice now.
Well, Raucus alone in the corner with the Ant Matrix, trying to stay alive. The Storm Arrow's just not quite connecting. Finally gets one. Mortality Field will buy himself a little bit more time, but in the meantime, Repel will be able to go ahead and get rid of that enemy Baptiste while Muma plays alone on the cart. Getting chunked out by the Dragon Strike, but is able to retreat successfully and keep himself alive. Freeze comes through onto Jerry, and there's just nowhere for him to go. Dragon Strike tossed in from Linkser. Will zone them back away from the car for now. And the Houston Outlaws will be able to snatch control of this. Oh, Linkser dies right at the last second.
Bruisen getting that little sneaky trade back kill. But like, this is a messy game. This is a messy game we're watching.
As anticipated.
And Repel getting those low to high ground kills as Zenyatta and picking off members, doing tons of damage of the Boston Uprising. That shouldn't be happening, but it is. And that really helps them out here. Boston Uprising are going to struggle to get any more control over this. They don't have high ground. They don't have ults to close a gap. Bruisen needs that flux. Meko's got his, and that's a huge advantage on top of the high ground they already have.
Oh, man, look at the damage, though. They're on to Muma. Barely survived. Gravitic Flux from Meko. Doesn't get any kills. Forces a CD of that Immortality Field as the cart continues to advance forward. They have to wrap around here, though, but Meko just way too far up forward, overextended here. By comparison, might have gotten halted off that high ground. Hard to say either way. Does get eliminated. Jerry still sitting pretty up top. Taking those shots, trying to find some additional kills. Gravitic Flux will slam them back to the ground. Halo keeps himself alive a little bit longer. And that Immortality Field also helping Muma out. The heals coming through. Keep him topped up. Bruisen gonna fall. It's a loss on Linkser. OT starting to bleed away. They barely managed to tag back in onto that cart. Boston's still trying to make this one happen. They get the kill now onto Dante. And Matrix forward here, right next to the cart. Color Hex trying to stay alive. We'll be able to go in with that ice block, lobs out the Blizzard. Transcendent's going to be expiring in that back line, and a very nice flick from Color Hex gets rid of Repel as the Blizzard takes away on a Muma. Wrecking ball back through, but Meko instantly froze and taken out, and you can see Linkser not able to arrive at the cart on time. Tried to lunge forward for it, but even if he had, it would have certainly gotten cleaned up. There's no way for anyone else to arrive and stop this. So a minute and a half added to the clock in OT.
Probably shouldn't have contested there, but, you know, I mean, they didn't really give that much over with just Hangzhou and a Wrecking Ball. So not the end of the world. Give us a little bit of ult charge, but really impressive to force the trance. Color Hex is just right there with his Blizzard as soon as it starts to expire. Very powerful follow-up. Jerry just trying to get information and also seeing if he can find a nice angle to split this team in half with his Dragon Strike. They can start cutting everybody up with a halt there as well. Just waiting for that perfect moment.
Yeah, Repel is trying to cut him down. Almost gets the hit there onto Linkser, but can't quite find it, so. Will just be the retreat call, however, for the Houston Outlaws. Too much ground has been gained with this cart, so the high ground control doesn't mean that much. Have to reset here to the main entrance.
Gotta watch those halts too from fusions.
Well, a solid pickoff does come through from Linkser. Gets rid of the Immortality Field. The Dragon Strike going to be tossed out from Jerry. Doesn't find any kills for him. It's a little bit of damage there into the back line, but Rock is still going to be okay. Fully topped up by Repel. Color Hex nearly eliminated. Just on the back of that hull. Has to play a little bit more carefully, as neither of these Mays have their blizzards available. So this is looking like a pretty neutral fight to try and push that cart through. Neko, the first one to fall. Lynx are going for a very aggressive angle here around the side. Tries to get rid of Jerry. Can't quite finish him off, however, as both tanks are now currently sat in behind their own barriers, trying to stay safe and just make sure that this cart is constantly being contested. But Lynxer finally breaks through, gets a kill on the Brusen. Just before that had taken down Color Hex, but Jerry starts striking back. Got Repel, now Lynx are going to be gone. Jerry and Halo trying to survive, and Matrix does come up. Jerry gonna reset, gets that boosted damage to try to find some kills. They push forward, they're looking to finish him off. The Immortality Field will crumble, the OT will bleed away, and Boston Uprising will be held just in front of point C.
Very sloppy game, I think, on both sides. I don't want to sound too mean or too critical, but there were a lot of small mistakes. But I think the one thing that was really cool to see, though, from both teams was how they controlled high ground and how patient Houston was when they were holding it there, and then when Boston kind of started taking that away from them, how they dropped down, played around the halt of Fusions and the Jerry Dragon Strike that was obviously going to come, the one we were talking about, you know, with about like a minute left. They played really well around that. They split, and we're not afraid to play passively, you know, after a bit of a mistake there on B, you know, overextending. Again, didn't end up being that massive, what ended up happening there with the stall or anything like that, but playing very passive and understanding their win conditions. Boston, on the other side of the coin, getting a lot of value out of Jerry's Hangzhou, and nearly finishing a map that looked almost lost from the beginning with the struggles they had on A. So yeah, very back and forth, and very much, you know, kind of what we expected to see in this series.
Do you want a bandit? Do you want a bandit? Do you want a bandit?
Coming down to the wire on multiple occasions, but pushing through and getting pretty damn close to the end there.
Jerry.
So this is very winnable for Boston.
Look at his positioning here. To get some extra info and look for a potential pick.
Well, instantly met with a projected barrier, so not going to be getting too much there.
Shields, oh no!
His greatest weakness. Well, good block there from Meko will deny the accretion stun coming through from Brusen. Okay, goodbye.
Ouch. That's not what you want to poke.
Everybody was prepared for that for that push around from Lynxer. So, instant punishment coming in. Stun is there, Immortality Field out. As the barriers will continue to be broken down. Myungbong in the back line. It's been a bit quiet this game. But
he certainly has.
Currently looking for a bit of a pick-off.
Discord targets have been good.
Yeah, target focus in that regard has been very solid from him. Repel just getting off a couple more of the flashy plays. Dante, headshot there onto Jerry, tried to take him down, but is overstepped by himself, so will be eliminated. Jerry gets rid of Meko now. Lynxer trading back, finds Color Hex, but Lynxer, palm to the chest, will go ahead and be taken down at the end of it all. So this is just again, extremely scrappy, kind of all over the place, but Houston Outlaws for now going to be held off, don't get anything built up onto point A.
That was, I mean, I think part of that was on Dante getting caught there inside the room, whatever you want to call that, there to the side, and having to ice block early, getting picked. Points being contested right now. And Jerry's going to look for a flank again. Okay, I say that, but doesn't.
Finds Dante. It's a very critical pick-off here for the Boston Uprising on this defense. They build up. They're trying to get to that first tick, but Color Hex is playing forward, ducking in and out from behind the car. Body tag there on a Lynxer. Jerry nearly melted down. Orb of Harmony starts coming through, however. So he does manage to stay safe for the moment. Color Hex hiding in the stairwell. Has that Blizzard ready to go. Wrapping his way back up top, trying to get that back angle coming through. Drops that Blizzard down, and it cuts him off from retreat. Transcendence is out from Repel, however, so no kills to be found quite yet. The Immortality Field placed around the corner. Keeps them safe for a little bit longer, but now they don't have it for this ultimate. Drop back down. Will just be the 2 kills coming through. Thought that Graphitic Flux was going to be a lot larger than it was, but it does not really matter. Because in the end, Boston Uprising maintained control at this point. They haven't given up any percentage whatsoever. So a very solid start for them, and this very well could be a full hold. I don't think it's going to be by the end of it,
Could
but
be.
it could
I mean,
be.
like, Dante's Blizzard needs to be big here. And if he gets picked or isolated again, or he can't use it, has to ice block early, that's a big problem. He needs this to be their saving grace here.
Yeah, or worse, if Bruce eats it.
Yeah, that could happen too.
Gotta
I mean, it's unlikely, but
keep in mind that kinetic grasp.
Yeah.
Supercharger around the corner. The Dragon Strike going to be rolling in. Fusions and Jerry already going to be gone. Repel will get picked off. Myungbong starting to trade back. Manages to find two, but Raucous will be able to shut him down. Color Hex gets rid of Linkser in that back line, but already the first hit going to be snatched up here for the Houston Outlaws. Bruce dropping lower. Will not be able to take away that Blizzard. Dante will get cut down. Yeah, Halo finds the kill, but it seems like that's it. The point will go the way of the Houston Outlaws, so no full hold to be found, but they very severely limit the time bank that Houston Outlaws can utilize.
Yeah, you're right about that. I feel like Dante is being focused super hard. Like, I don't even want to criticize him because I'm watching him and he's not making positional mistakes too much or anything like that. They're just discording him and focusing him, so he has to ice block early. He got killed there by Halo somehow. Halo's like, all right, I'm ready for this kill. Not enough at the end of the day, but still, they slow this a lot, as you mentioned. Jerry's got high grounds. That's always a terrifying thing.
Jerry anywhere is just kind of been terrifying for the Houston Outlaws in this series so far.
Can be terrifying for Boston, too. Just depends.
That's true. Oh, well, there you have
like
it. Dante able to find the headshot. So, yeah, being on the walkway out in the middle of nowhere where there's zero barriers or cover to protect you, turns out not a great place to be in, even if it is on the high ground. Bruce up over the top. Dante trying to find the shots here on a Color Hex. He will drop down onto the low ground as Dante just continues to take shots into the back of Fusion's skull. And then Orb of Harmony out, but got the freeze on the Color Hex, so do manage to finish him off. Really scary cancel on that ice block there. As Dante was nearly picked off on the end, but Myungbong is still hot on his trail, and they will be able to find the kill. So Cart going to be halted yet again with 1 minute and 38 seconds remaining. Houston Outlaws got to get something done. They nearly have a Transcendence to match Myungbong's.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they need that Blizzard.
Yeah, it's really, they need the Blizzard, but even using the Blizzard is going to be a challenge through the Streets phase. They might get forced to use it away from the cart, which means that Boston can, retreat and regroup. They have the Transcendence you mentioned to kind of shut that down. So I think they need something bigger. I think they need to force a Transcendence early before the Blizzard somehow by trying to rotate onto high ground. It's just easier said than done with all these walls, all these barriers. Are they going to try to use the elevator here? No, they're going to stay down. The elevator is kind of a bad idea in this situation, but they're desperate.
If they try to go for the elevator right there with that many people playing forward, they would just get absolutely mauled, much like they're getting mauled right now. The Gravitic Flux catches them all. Meko falls, and the Blizzard's still going to be committed here to the fight by Dante. The Dragon Strike now going to be rolling through. Back and forth as we've come to expect from a lot of these team fights, but there's one color very much predominantly in that kill feed, and it's going to be the blue for the Boston Uprising. A great halt back onto Raucous. We'll get a little bit of a delay as Jerry has a little bit of a fun time there.
He does.
Showing off.
This might actually be a tied series now with that Blizzard being used. They didn't get into a good position. You talk about the elevator being a bad idea and getting mauled, but they find themselves in the same one spot out of the doorway. Dias in a similar fashion. They need to force, again, somehow Myungbong's trance. I just don't think they're going to be able to do that. Dante's swapped to the Tracer. He had enough of the Mei, at least for now. He can backdoor this cart, threaten them to, try to threaten them off the high ground, try to get them to drop down. So I stumble over my words here.
They spot him out.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
Well, Dante is still currently the only person anywhere near the cart, so if they get rid of him, that OT is going to tick down. He's already been forced to use the recall. He only has 22% towards that pulse bomb. Bunch of damage there onto Raucous as he tries to get over. Lua drops the barrier, the supercharger coming through as well. Dante finally finds a kill on a Fusions. Now looking for a little bit more. Forces the ice block out from Color Hex, but Brusen will get rid of Linkser. So they lose out on that Hangzhou. Dash around the backside. He's still trying to get rid of Color Hex, but he just can't do so. Transcendence buys a lot more time. That's going to be the Blizzard dropped through. Muma behind the barrier trying to stay alive, but they push in behind the shielding. They get rid of that Orisa. The OT will bleed away, and we do in fact have a tied series on our hands. Boston Uprising able to take Hollywood, and we'll end the first half of this set 1-1.
I mean, not a surprise that the series is going to be close. I just need a Jerry meter. I need, like a gas gauge or something where there's just like a little needle that goes between 0 and like Jerry, and it has Jerry's face on it, because Jerry is either like, he's full Jerry, he's popping off, or he's full Jerry, he's in the wrong spot. I don't know. I think if we keep that 0 to Jerry gauge around the middle, that's when Jerry's going to have the most success. So if he goes full Jerry, then you never know what you're going to get. I mean, he's one of the most inconsistent players that we have in the league right now, but when he's at his best, he looks really, really good, so I don't blame him for the aggression, for the Doomfist, for the crazy Hangzhou flanks, but I think he cost them big there in some of the earlier parts. But hey, in his best moments, you know, we're going to a tied series.
Yeah, live by Jerry, live by Jerry, die by Jerry, not dairy. Anyway. There you go. Tied up 1-1. Hollywood goes to the Boston Uprising. We're going to have a game break coming up here, guys, and we'll see who can take a lead in this set when we come back from that.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome to our game break presented by Cheese Grooves. I'm Zoe. Joining me are Costa and Reinforce, and it's currently 1-1 apiece between the Houston Outlaws and the Boston Uprising. We have to talk about what we just saw, starting things off on the Jiang Tower, and that one was, I would say, a more one-sided affair. I do think that the guys from the Outlaws kind of ran away with it. Why is that, though? What went right for the Outlaws on that first map? I mean, they have a tendency of being good on those first control maps.
I think you have to look at the Doomfist pick from the Boston Uprising to really sort of dissect that one. It doesn't really make sense, in my opinion, in the grand scheme of the compositions. You don't have a D.Va, you don't have a Xayah to really follow you up. You're going against a double shield tank, which makes it really hard to move around. So when Jerry punched someone into a wall, everything's great. But if he can't get that value, you just lose over time. So very questionable pick for me from Boston on the control map. But, you know, Houston Outlaws playing very solid in that one.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I did enjoy seeing the Reinhardts come out, and I think that Muma actually sort of fits this sort of double main tank style, because if he plays Reinhardt and has no Orisa to back him up, that means that Muma can do more Muma things. Generally, as a pretty aggressive Reinhardt, doesn't really do great in neutral matchups when it comes to Goats, or as we saw last week when we saw Reaper, Torbjorn compositions with Mei, Lucio. Doesn't do too great in that, but when Muma actually comes down to the shatters, etc., that's when Muma really shines. So I did enjoy seeing the Reinhardts as well on Jiang Tower, and I think that served Houston Outlaws pretty good.
What are your thoughts in general, Reinforce, looking at Muma's performance so far in this season? Is this the main tank you would want for your team if you were the Houston Outlaws, or do you think that they may have
pretty loaded question, so not gonna lie.
It is a loaded question, but I've also been there have been a lot of questions.
True.
Some people are not as sold on Muma, whereas the other side of things, right? There's a lot of people who are very pro Muma.
I mean, I think he's a great Winston player. I think that his Wrecking Ball is also good. I think that his Reinhardt gets value at times, but generally it's these explosive and shiny highlights where he hits big shatters, and I think it's a different skill to win those neutral battles. You look at someone like Super, how he manages his shield, how he gets extra swings on the opponent Reinhardt. That's where it really comes down to the Reinhardt versus Reinhardt battle, and I think Muma does that perhaps less good than other Reinhardts, but at the same time, when he lands all of these big shatters repeatedly, then when you look at him and you say, oh, well, he's actually a pretty good Reinhardt because he's hitting some of these shatters, he's hitting some wild charges. Similarly to Among, how he performed in Reinhardt, but I don't think that carries alone the skill required to actually be considered a good Reinhardt. I think that he needs to step up a little bit when it comes to these duels, when it comes to the bit more tactical, slower side of actually determining the tempo of a Reinhardt battle and the tempo of the upcoming fight. That's where I have a lot of question marks. Beside that, I think that he's a solid Orisa, he's a solid Winston, a solid Wrecking Ball. He's not one of the best main tanks in the league. Like, no way. But at the same time, he's decently solid. I don't think he's a big problem in this Houston Outlaws roster, so I'm pretty indifferent about Muma, but I definitely can see how you have some arguments against him and why you would have some arguments for him. I think it's a bit, pros and cons.
Exactly. Now, guys, the Ice Queen is back. That's right. Mei is back in the mix, and that's why we thought, you know what? We might as well make this our lovely crunch time presented by Cheese It Grooves. Costa, let's talk about Dante and Color Hex on Mei. I think
Dante was getting significantly better value out of his Mei walls and his Mei ultimates. We have stats board coming up for you right here, and it's just really, when you're playing these double shield Mei compositions, it's really important to get value with, final blows, damage, enemies frozen. You see it all here. And he's just playing, I would say, a lot smarter, which is super important for your tanks to be able to get value. I think Boston got a lot more value with their Hangzhou. I think Jerry was getting the better of that. But Outlaws are getting better value with their Mei. So it's sort of this, back and forth happening. You sort of saw the mirror matchup come out on Hollywood, and it was really interesting because we said coming into this matchup that Boston would be better at that, and we saw them get the better end of the stick on Hollywood. So I'm really interested to see moving forward if Boston is just going to play this mirror matchup and sort of keep that going. And if Color Hex steps up, I think they'll take this series easily.
Well, Reinforced, last few thoughts here. We're heading into Volskaya Industries. Do you think Boston can get away with playing the mirror there, or do you think they have some special composition coming out?
Yeah, I mean, if I was the Boston Uprising, I would sort of just stick to what I've been doing already. I think that Houston Outlaws, they have a tendency to perform pretty well early in most matches, but then as the match go on, they start to deteriorate a little bit. So I do think that overall, across the match, I do think that Boston Uprising actually have a good chance of winning this match. They did sort of pretty poorly on Jiang Tower. I think that, as Costa said, came down to the Doomfist pick. But as the match progresses, I think Boston Uprising has a good chance. I'm not changing my pick. I'm sticking with the Boston Uprising.
Well, that's good because we wouldn't let you
Absolutely
anyway.
not.
So, yeah, you gotta stuck with the decisions you've made prior to this day. We are heading back into the action with the second half of this second match of the day. So stick around as Wolf and Achilles will call all the action.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, guys. We are currently tied up 1-1 here in the series, second of the day, between the Boston Uprising and the Houston Outlaws. And oh boy, looks like we are going the distance on this one so far. It's been pretty damn close, but Boston just able to take Hollywood, so now we are all tied up. We have to see who can take a lead, if a lead can be taken in map number 3.
And yeah, someone on Twitter made the Jerry meter for me. My phone's very dirty, but I'm showing it to you guys. The Jerry meter, we gotta watch.
I can't see it. I'm gonna have to look at it later.
We'll have to watch and see if he continues to be inconsistent or if he can just play at his best all the time. Which I feel like he's always good at clicking heads. He's always a great player. It's just how he chooses to use his powers, like whether he's trying to flank or if he's trying to do.
Will he use them for good?
Yeah.
Or will he use them
for good or for inconsistency? I don't know. Jerry's a special player that I think no one will soon forget. But
yeah,
see how he does.
as the pendulum swings there for Jerry, we'll see what he can do for us. Which Jerry we will get as we get ready to go into map number 3. Taking a look at the map set, we are headed to Volskaya for Assault. Always been one of the tougher nuts to crack, Volskaya, so we'll see if we can get some solid finishes on this map. And again, if we'll have a victor at the end of this map, because very well could end in a draw.
Certainly could.
They always say history is destined to repeat itself, so
that's what they say.
We'll see if we can at least get a couple draws on the board here between these two squads.
Well, it's going to be a Boston attack first. Like I was saying in our previous series on Paris, this is a meta where things can snowball very quickly on Assault. A lot of the metas that we play in, to be frank, are like that. It's like basically only the Genji dive is not like that, and it can be. But I don't know, when you're looking at Mei ultimates, that's like the new big one. The Blizzard is the new grab. No, I say new, I mean it's been going on for quite some time at this point, since like stage 4 last year. But it's the ultimate that you really got to watch out for. If you take A and you keep a Blizzard for B and they don't have an answer, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. They have Repel and Raucus, this duo here.
Yeah, still sticking through this.
Or the Trance. Yeah, so the Trance will be a great deterrent. Pharah, is it real? I don't know about this. They need a Mercy. They're going to swap it. Halo's going in.
I mean, this isn't too terrible in what the Houston Outlaws are currently running. The only reliable person who could really take them out of the sky is going to be, Raucus. Otherwise, it's all that projectile damage coming through from Dante, Linkser, and Repel. So we'll see how long they stick through with this one. Color Hex has historically been a rather strong Pharah.
Look at the pressure behind the shield, behind the Orisa barrier, and the barrier breaks. So now Color Hex has this whole area zoned off, this doorway here. There's another barrier, but it's placed in a different angle. So much more protection this time.
Well, that's going to be an early pickoff here for Repel. Gets rid of Brucein on that approach. Myungbong, however, equalizing things, gets rid of Linkser. But with Dante fighting Myungbong and Fusion's falling, seems like this is going to have to be a little bit of a delay. Color Hex desperately trying to get that finishing blow onto Muma. Is unable to do so initially, but he's still so very low, and now he's in that cubby. Shots coming through, though. Echo up on that high ground will be taken down, and just like that, Boston are straight back into the fight. They're on the point, and they are gaining ticks, and yeah, there's nothing really that Houston can do. We'll just have to let this one go over.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice heroic attempts from Muma and Meko's take on how low can you go, but do end up falling eventually as Linkser swaps over to the McCree, but Color Hex is already one step ahead. We'll be swapping over to Mei. Not that the McCree's a bad pick here, even against the Mei, but yeah, Hangzhou definitely better at shield breaking with his Storm arrows, and once they realize, okay, it's a swap, we'll be matching that. Ult charge advantage here for Houston Outlaws, so that double cap I was talking about earlier, pretty unlikely here.
Yeah, seeming that way. Unless they can get an incredible Dragon Strike, the likes of which we have never seen before. So we'll just be held up here for the moment. Dragon Strike will go through the side of the wall. Takes Raucus and Muma both dangerously low, but Immortality Field keeps him alive. But Jerry gets a very nice peek around the corner there on the Linkser. Now he's looking for Raucus, but can't quite land those Storm arrows, so will retreat back. Play this one out a little bit safer, but one tick already going to be snatched up here for the Boston Uprising, so even if this is the end of that push, it's not wasted. So they still do gain that progress. Altogether coming through, Graphitic Bucks will be catching multiple members on the side of Boston, and Mortality Field will keep them alive for a little bit longer. They've gotten rid of Jerry. Is that going to be enough, though, for Houston to maintain control here? Blizzard comes down, gets the freeze onto both of the tanks, and that should be the end of it.
Some pretty, I don't want to sound too critical, but, you know, it's the El Clasico, so
go for it.
Pretty bad ult management there at the end for Houston, both the Blizzard and the Transcends. I don't think either of those were necessary. They were starting to win the fight. They had spawn advantage. But, you know, I mean, when you're desperate and you really want to win a fight like that, I mean, I want to say it doesn't hurt, but it does. But it's not the end of the world. But huge trades for Boston to get both of those extremely important ultimates as Color Hex is getting closer to his Blizzard. The Trance won't be ready. And in their fight with Myungbong's Trance, if they can get onto the point, he will finish it 100%.
See if they can do just that. Right now, Boston just trying to poke out, get those ults online where they can. Maywall comes up from Dante. stopping them from getting around and really utilizing that amp matrix. As Linkster takes some pawn shots here to try to find a kill. Meko, however, is going to be the one coming up with it. This person will fall. Going to absorb as much as he can with that kinetic grasp, get that shielding coming through. Doesn't net himself too much shield, but does still put Jerry in a very rough position right now as he tries to escape. Does manage to jump his way back up over the top. He's looking for an angle, looking for a target, but can't quite find it. So we'll just be held at bay here for the moment, as Myungbong is not allowed to exit safely.
Yeah, nice hold here for Houston Outlaws without the major tools that they used, you know, the Trance and the Blizzard. Dante's extremely fast build actually gets him a second one here, so he's already ready for that. Boston Uprising have, again, the ult advantage, but it's only slight now as the time is really ticking down. Jerry hasn't been able to find the flanks he's been looking for, hasn't been able to find the picks. He's actually been playing pretty safely overall, which I always like to see, but now might be the time to take a risk. This time is of the essence.
Yeah, burning down 2 minutes and 10 seconds about to be here on the clock. Kinetic Grasp going to be used from Boston. Doesn't find them much of anything, and Repel will be able to take out Halo. Dante lobbing in with that Blizzard. Gets the freeze in. Kinetic Grasp now coming out from Meko for a kill, but doesn't lead to much. It's just a little bit of exchange back and forth. Repel goes down, Myungbong swiftly falls there after, but Boston just don't have the legs to stand on. They don't have a way to advance over onto this point, so despite them trading somewhat evenly in the fight, they can't get any progress done.
Yeah, really nice plays by Dante. He had to commit the Blizzard, but I think that was pretty reasonable given the positioning that Boston had. And then Meko helps get the cleanups, stopping those retreats, cutting the team in half. Good barrier placement, really good accretion. Color Hex has Blizzard now, but Repel has Trance. They know it. They know they have positional advantage, so I think it's totally warranted this time for Dante to use the Blizzard. They might just look for a Holt Dragon Strike here. Doesn't actually commit the strike as they all drop down. Any time buy is huge for the Outlaws, though, with only one tick for the Uprising. Oh, he's going to flank.
He's ready for it. Dragon Strike coming through with the Holt Immortality Field. Timed well there from Halo, but they took too much damage. They couldn't get topped back up in time, so do just end up losing out on now 3 members as Jerry will fall on the back end of that fight. So good setup is there from the Houston Outlaws. They execute on it, and they continue to drain the clock lower and lower. Now at 40 seconds remaining for the Boston Uprising, just 39.9% accrued on point B.
Yeah, and I mean, Color X is still holding that ultimate he can't find a way to use right now. And they keep trying to use the elevator. The lift is controlled by the Outlaws. They can't go through the middle. It's just too obvious. And they probably think Dante has another Blizzard at this point. He's very close to one. They're going to try to split off here. Looks like perhaps only Fusion takes the lift. We scout with the Sonic Arrow. They need to get that Blizzard onto the point.
Supercharger coming through, Muma replacing the barrier. Instantly damaged straight out onto Bruce, and he just melts down. Dante finding those kills now, dropping in with that Blizzard. Gets the freeze here onto Color Hex. A mutual freeze coming through, but the Transcendence is there. Good guy Repel, keeping him covered. They will be able to hold here on point B. 40.2% picked up by the Boston Uprising. It was a very strong start on point A with that turnaround, but they just couldn't get it done there on point B. So now Houston Outlaws, a real win condition set up for them. Can they execute on it, though? That is the greater question here.
That's always the greater question, Achilleos, but just better positioning overall. Good stalls from the Outlaws.
Well, we'll see now. Do they want to have any shenanigans on the attack as well? The Pharah did work out quite well here for Color Hex, but don't anticipate that to happen here for these guys. But as we get ready to move into this one, quick shout out, of course, as Activision Blizzard and Overwatch League, we are very proud to support the World Health Organization, and we encourage all of our players, all of you guys watching at home, to play a part together. And when we do that, we are, the most powerful preventative measure that we can use to protect ourselves. We are embracing that, and we're keeping ourselves safe, our loved ones, and those around us. We all have the power to fight this thing, this pandemic, together, guys. So make sure you stay apart, keep playing some video games, and having a good time.
Yep. Or watching anime, as is the case for perhaps some of these players.
You can also, I mean, some of them might be watching anime right now, which could explain why things are happening the way they're happening in the series.
Well, here we go.
Sorry, guys. I missed that. I missed that ult because I was watching Hunter x Hunter earlier. My bad.
Let's take a look at the setups here. Dante actually on Tracer to start things off. Might be able to get some extra backline threat or be able to bait out an Immortality field that way. And it's one of his better heroes, so always appreciate to see Tracer. Dallas Fuel made it work, obviously against very different circumstances, but love to see people go against the grind in the meta. Unseen so far. Okay, does reveal himself.
Yeah, pokes out a little bit. Oh, okay. 6 HP on the recall. Very dangerous. Good wraparound angle there from Myungbong to nearly eliminate him. You can see that Orb of Harmony trying to keep Fusions topped up. He will be able to retreat back into Thorage to keep himself safe. Great shot from Jerry. Goes straight into the skull of Linkser. Taking him out, but Dante answers in kind, manages to find Brusen. Jerry dodging out, avoids the accretion, goes back up to the high ground. He's trying to track Dante, who's being extremely elusive. And now he's landing here in the garage, but can't get anything really done until he gets that pulse bomb online, which he does nearly have. He's got it now. Spots out Jerry, but still decides to retreat. Wants to wait for the rest of the squad to be ready to capitalize if he can get a kill with that pulse bomb, but instead we'll just go ahead and kill Jerry straight up with the pistols. Now recalls as the pulse bomb goes forward. Immortality field buys a little bit more time, however, for Fusions, and Dante will fall. Brusen coming in from the side, manages to find that kill. Color Hex, however, going to be eliminated as well, as he is now 30% shy, just about, of that Blizzard. Would be absolutely crucial for them to try and maintain control of point A. But the kills continue to come through as Repel continues to click heads, and they have broken through, and they will be able to get this lockdown.
Yeah, really nice split up there from Dante. Just constantly threatening not only the backline, but the front line as well, and the pulse bomb threat was huge. Got sticky keys, I guess, from all the shift he was pressing there for the blink. Sure, everybody knows what that is.
W,
I didn't know sticky keys was still a thing.
That means, well, that's fine. I got sticky keys. Well, that's fine.
Too much shift pressing there, but
yep.
Anyway, Outlaws in really prime position to take a lead in this series now. They've got a nice ult setup here for this push.
A very early pick onto Halo.
Yeah.
Dragon Strike coming through from one side, out on the other. Transcendence, however, very well timed there. Repel keeps everybody alive. Linkser gets that high ground push. Deja vu, as that happened exactly to Linkser, but via Jerry the last time out. But Linkser gets a very nice shot onto Color Hex before being eliminated at the end of it all. So continuing the scrappy fights here, but it seems like Houston Outlaws are winning out on the fight. The first tick coming in. They're nearly there. Just 5% away, 4% away rather, from locking this one down. See Fusions pounding in with that pile driver, trying to knock them off the point, but takes way too much damage. And finally zone them back, and Houston Outlaws will be able to claim Volskaya for themselves, making this a 2-1 series. No draws to be had here on Assault. Houston move up, but this starts begging the question, is this just going to be a pendulum swing of victories? We get Houston in the first, Boston in the second, Houston in the third. Do I get Boston again in the fourth?
Well, I mean, maybe. I think Dante playing Tracer was really fun and refreshing. He's obviously very good at it. It's one of his best heroes, one of the heroes that he's most famous for, and one of the reasons why he was picked up for the Outlaws last year when they were missing a Tracer player, quote-unquote. So, really like to see that. He can't play Sombra, obviously, as she's unavailable this week. But
still making do.
I mean, when you're playing a hero you're comfortable with, when you're playing at this level, no offense to the teams, but when you're playing at the lower end of things and you know that you're mechanically gifted, play a hero that you're great at, change it up, try it, see if it works. I mean, he absolutely dominated.
Yeah, it was extremely well played from him, and that means that Houston are that much closer to being able to close out this series. They're looking for the 3-1. Boston are looking to go the distance yet again. We'll see if they can do that when we come back for map number 4.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network.
And here we go, guys. At match point right now for the Houston Outlaws. We're going to see if they can close this one out relatively cleanly, or if we will be forced into a Game 5, our second one of the day, if we can pull it off, as Boston Uprising look to take map number 4. At this point, we're fully invested. I think we just go the distance. Why the hell not? Let's just go all 3 series today, 5 maps.
I mean, that would be great. Especially with how much everyone who stayed up last night to watch the Asia games were robbed last night. I do think that people are missing some Overwatch games. There are some games we made up here, and what better of a series to bring us to it than this one? The last series was really good. Potentially the best series of the day in terms of its potential. But, you know, I mean, this one is, for different reasons, also getting quite exciting.
That it is. But we do have our map number 4 getting ready to come up, so taking a look at the map set, we will be headed to Route 66 for Escort. We'll see if this is going to be the close of the series, or if Boston can take us to that coveted map 5 and continue to entertain us with some wildly wacky gameplay like we've been seeing the whole way through so far. I really like it. The pop-off moments coming through from Linkser and Jerry especially. They're on Volskaya. We're just fantastic to watch. The flank angles coming through. Overall, just solid stuff. You love to see it. It's messy, but it's fun.
I mean, I just love to see Dante on Tracer. I mean, the guy is so good that even into a comp that... I don't want to say it hard counters Tracer by any means. I weren't running Torbjorn or anything like that, but into a composition where it's very difficult to find value as Tracer, you're always under threat. Just making that hero pick viable, giving Boston something they weren't prepared for, and just showcasing how strong of an Overwatch player he is. I mean, he's an Overwatch League caliber player. He has been for several years now. That's why he's in the league. But sometimes, you know, when you're running these mirror comps, he doesn't get to shine as much. And I like when he gets to play a hero that he's famous for, make it work, find that success, just like we saw Decay do with Dallas last weekend. And he is going to start it here on the defense, see if he can make it work again.
See how he fares.
Gotta turn those sticky keys off, though.
Yeah, do need to turn those off. But if not, well, that's fine. Moving forward, though, it's just going to be a retreat. They don't have that real bunker-style composition set up. No Torbjorn here, so despite having the double shields, do just have to show some respect and play back away from the initial start point of the cart. And now try to allow for Dante to get in with some flank angles.
Yeah. The best Tracer is one that does consistent damage, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. Playing safe, getting those armor packs.
Yeah, and Muma will be able to find a very crucial pickoff here. Very nicely done. As they will find Color Hex as well, killing him through that Orb of Harmony. Dante showing off why he did get famous with this Tracer play. And now with the push forward, it's just going to be the cleanup. And the cart is halted in a very crucial position that really benefits the Houston Outlaws. They can just get everybody set up on top of Big Girls now.
Exactly, and it also gives Dante the ability to use these mine shafts to flank. If it's at this exact position, if Boston Uprising heavily commit, he can come into the back line. He's not committing, though, to blinking in and trying to get one clips onto Myeongbong or anything like that. He's just sitting back and doing consistent damage, even shooting at barriers when he needs to. He only commits in when he sees a target that's like 30% health or so. And that's the best way to play it. He's got a pulse bomb now. And look at him, he's just waiting for opportunity. He's not going to commit in until that moment.
Into the back line. Waiting for that Immortality field to go away, perhaps, before he uses the pulse bomb. Instead, we'll just go ahead and use the pistols to get rid of fusions. Headshots flying through. There's going to be the halt in the stick, and there's the bomb. Dante coming up with a double kill just on the back of that, but otherwise he's just ripping people to shreds.
Yeah, I think he got 4 in total at the end of the day there in that exchange. And this is why, you know, I was saying, like, just pick Tracer if you're Dante. At this point, you know, with all these hero pools, every week it's different. You've got a ton of matches to play. You're playing heroes sometimes that you're not extremely good at or you're not that practiced with. You know, we saw some really bad blizzards from Dante throughout the series. Just pick what you're good at. Sometimes that
is absolutely huge. Immortality field will keep them safe, but Dante finishes it off as soon as they hit the ground, which means that Linkser can scoop that kill onto Jerry and then a second on the Myeongbong. They finally get rid of Dante, but with this much damage dealt, and how quickly he can rejoin in with the squad. Seems like Houston's still going to be quite all right on this defense.
It's looking, you know, it's not looking so good for anyone who had the Preds for the game 5 here. Not at the moment.
Yeah.
Dante's going to be back here. You could see him coming up just in the back of your screen, the silhouette. He'll be back here in just a second. This is going to give him a little bit of push power, but Fusion's taken out here, and now the angle is good for Linkser once again.
Yep. Reminder that Jonathan Reinforced Larson predicted Boston Uprising to win this. We'll see if it still comes true. It's not over yet. But it's not looking good, as you said. 45 seconds to go to try to get into point A and then go as far as they can from there. They nearly have 6 ultimates online. Bruson being a little bit further behind for that gravitic flux.
Dante is just, again, harassing, not committing in, taking side angles. Does get caught this time.
Yeah, Color Hex finds that headshot. Very well-placed right-click finally alleviates the pressure of that Tracer, who is nearing that next pulse bomb. He is going to respawn now, though, and can get back over. The card at the moment is not being contested by Boston. It is not advancing. They will start pushing out with the help of this Dragon Strike, but the Supercharger is still sitting on top of Big Earls, empowering a few of the members. Dante on his return gets rid of Jerry, who had just taken out Linkser. Pulse bomb going to go a little bit wide. Doesn't get any explosive damage coming through either, as Mecha will get picked off. Card starts advancing with that Blizzard rolling through. Dante finds another one, but can he get more? That's what they need if they want to close this out. Mecho's going to be swapping over onto the Wrecking Ball to try to get back here in time. Under pressure, Repel left on his lonesome up on that high ground behind the cart, does get taken out. Wrecking Ball comes rolling through, the accretion stun not going to connect. Linkser halted back in, melted by Jerry, who then gets picked off by Raucus. He's wrapping back around the side of Big Earls. They have to stay stuck to this card. That OT is going to start plummeting very rapidly, but Dante continues to do a solid amount of work. Gets rid of Myungbong, but can he get more? Fire Strike finds Bruson. Fusion's now going to fall without tanks. It's just the Mei, the Tracer, the Baptiste, but they lose out on another one, and that will be a full hold at the hand of the Houston Outlaws. They had a stacked deck, and they absolutely unleash it on the Boston Uprising.
I mean, look, you get back to the point that quickly as Tracer. When you're Dante, you have the ability to clean up those weakened targets. I mean, he was made for a defense like that. The Tracer pick ends up being so valuable, not only through the start of that attack, but also at the very end of it. I mean, despite Color X's best efforts, he hit 2 of the right clicks that hit the head of Dante. 2 of those important icicles almost got them across, really shut down that threat. But when your best chance at dealing with Dante's Tracer is a rogue right click, you know, from Color X, who's obviously very much prepared. I don't want to say, I say rogue because it's like he's expecting where Dante is, he's expecting where he's going to be and where that click is going to hit ahead. But it's, you know, if that's your best bet, if that's your best option against a Tracer, if that's your most consistent way of shutting it down, it's rough. I mean, you might even want to consider as Boston swapping someone over to a Brigida if that's what it's going to take. You know, you're not getting that much value out of Transcendence against that Tracer comp.
Greetings.
The Outlaws don't look like they're necessarily going to run it here, but we'll see after Dante goes for this opening shot.
Yeah, could just very easily swap back over. Grecian tossed out. Seems like it's not going to connect with anything. Pop up over the top, but the barrier is there to protect Jerry. So, yeah, we'll just push back inside the diner. Swap out likely to that Tracer.
Yep, there it is.
There you have it. Again, similar situation. Boston Uprising, they have to play back over towards Big Earls right now with this composition. And they already give up so much ground. The card is nearly halfway to where it needs to be. And that is such a scary proposition for Boston when you're trying to force this into a game 5. Pushing around the side, Meko is going for a very big flank, very deep one. Grecian doesn't net him much. The protected barrier has been destroyed, but he's at least got this rock to duck behind as he steadily tries to get topped up.
Dante's so low.
So very low. Will get finished off in the end by Myungbong, but Linkser finds 2. A tank and a DPS. Now Halo going to be gone, but big answer back comes through from Boston. But is that going to be enough? Meko being this far overextended, seems like, yeah, it will be. But the card continues to advance while Boston waits for the rest of their members to join in.
Yeah, Meko's going to have Gravitic Flux. He did so much more than Bruson in that last fight, and Boston just have to try to force the win, but they could actually just get zoned out here.
Oh my god,
Fusion's
Fusion's just, yeah, solo kill there by Dante in the end. Bruson trying to push his way up towards the cart. Jerry has finally gotten rid of Dante and has the Dragon Strike, so can buy some space, but he gets his head taken off by Repel, who's just been a force to be reckoned with in this series so far. Dragon Strike will come through, but it's not really clipping anybody. Halo and Jerry have both now been taken out. Person takes himself out, and that will just be it. Houston Outlaws struggles at times in the series, but here on Route 66 especially, making it look rather easy. They're able to take Route 66, they're able to take the set.
Very clutch plays from Dante on the last 2 maps.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, sometimes, you know, this is actually the most infuriating thing for a coach, too. Like, right now, Hureg might be at home being like, oh my god, I said do not play Tracer. I don't care if it's your comfort pick, I don't care if you like it, but when it works, it works. And I think at some point, Dante just said, look, let me try it. Let me try to make this happen. Let me try to force this Tracer pick to work. Trust me. They trusted him. And a lot of people would have looked at it, you know, if Dante asked that question to a lot of analysts, like, what if I play Tracer here? A lot of people said, absolutely not. Do not do that. And he broke the mold. He broke the conventional meta that we have for this week so far, a somewhat established meta. Yes, we saw a little bit of Tracer last night, but it worked extremely well. And the guy comes up big.
Yeah, absolutely huge. But, I mean, taking a look at our player of the match, it's somebody who's been consistently doing well throughout this entire series thus far, and our player of the match is in fact going to be Repel. So back-to-back Zenyatta players for us here today, as Repel will take this one home alongside Alarm.
Yeah, Repel had a lot of great moments in the first 2 maps in particular, and he was fragging out big on Hollywood, for example. Ended up having some major transcendences that helped Houston win a lot of crucial team fights, and a lot of the damage output he had as part of what led to that. I think there's an argument for Dante to get player of the match as well. After watching those last 2 maps, almost feels like he was robbed, but I think everybody is going to be praising him no matter what. But yeah, Repel, throughout the entirety of that series, the most consistent player, and that's oftentimes how we choose them here at the Overwatch League. So another Zenyatta, as you say, but great job, Houston Outlaws, bringing it back, taking this to a 1-1 in terms of our most famous lower tier matchup, if you will. El Clasico.
Yeah, 1-1 in the El Clasico here so far here in 2020. So they got to be feeling good about getting some vengeance there. For the Boston Uprising, you know, shins raised high, just try to push on forward and you know, get some wins under your belts as the season does continue, but Houston can feel pretty good about that one. We got one more series coming up for you guys here this evening. We didn't get Game 5 in Series number 2. Maybe we can get it in Game number 3. That's going to be the Dallas Fuel going up against the Washington Justice. Should be another great match to watch, so make sure you guys stay tuned. It's going to be coming at you in just a bit.